I'm going to marry y'all. Like, that's the feeling I get.
What kind of ring
Was
am I
that a
getting?
proposal?
Yeah. Was that a proposal or a directive? Like,
I'm marrying everyone in this friend group.
so one thing that I remember hearing a lot in therapy is that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. It is connection. Healthy connection. The opposite of addiction is not sobriety. It is connection. The relationships that we have with our family, our friends, and our loved ones, they are so vital, not only for our mental well-being, but also for our sense of purpose and for belonging too.
Yeah. And, you know, we started this podcast when we were in our 20s and 30s. That is still in some of our taglines. But now we are very much in our 30s and some of us close to 40. And that period of your life, I would say, you know, friendships and relationships take on kind of a different meaning. And it requires a lot more deliberate planning. Because in your 20s and 30s, oftentimes you're in more like similar life stages with your friends. Maybe you work similar like jobs, live in similar places. It's really easy to just like randomly call someone up, go for a run, grab a drink, go to karaoke, do whatever. But in our 30s and 40s, people start to go into different life stages and, you know, families develop, people move away, different things like that. It just takes a lot more deliberate effort.
Yeah. And I feel like with that, celebrations also look very different for us these days. Like from hosting baby showers to attending kids' birthdays and celebrating 40th birthdays, we're at a phase in our life and our friendships where everyone is at different life stages, right? So, how do we maintain these human connections in an intentional way? So, today's episode is going to be a catch up between the three of us and a way to highlight the nitty gritty of how we do just that. All right. So, one of the biggest celebrations we did have early this year or recently was celebrating our good friend Phil's early 40th birthday. And we went on a cruise, which was so much fun. And I feel like turning 40 is a really big, significant age. And for Phil's birthday, we went on a 3-night cruise to Ensenada with a bunch of our friends. I don't really know how many of there's what, 20 of us? I think Helen could probably clarify.
37. 37.
Oh my
37.
God.
Yes.
I did not know there were that many people.
Yes.
Holy crap. But also to give context, there's 37 people and the group was, you know, the age range was from like 8 months to like 70 plus years old. So it was like a very diverse age range. But I thought it'd be really fun to kind of maybe talk about the cruise because I think from the outside it was like, ooh, party on a cruise. But like there was a lot of intentional planning and a lot of connections happening on this trip. Helen, like how did you even decide on like, I'm going to plan a cruise for Phil versus like a party like at a bar or on land?
Yeah, I mean, for anyone out there who is thinking about planning like a big milestone birthday and also wanting to connect and, you know, bring in people from all different ages, I would highly, highly recommend a cruise. I feel like we just had so much fun on it. But the reason why we decided on it mainly is because Philip was just randomly saying one day, like, oh, I've never been on a cruise. Maybe we should do it for my 40th. And that was it. And then the plans got into motion. So his birthday is actually in October. And we quickly realized that for the cruise that we wanted to do, which is from from Long Beach, California to Ensenada, Mexico, it was better to do that in August. It was also the shortest trip that we could take. It was 4 days, 3 nights. And so other options we were thinking of was like Alaska or the Caribbeans. But a lot of that also requires flying to a different destination, spending more money, and then, you know, paying for the cruise.
Yeah.
So this was kind of like the best gateway, you know, like introductory cruise for our friends. It's also something that Philip had never done before and our friend group had never done before. So it was novel, new, and, you know, we are people who love experiences and celebrations. So having a dedicated like weekend, a longer weekend where everyone could feel like, you know, they were celebrating and having a good time and vacationing was kind of the thought process behind it. I also think that with a cruise, and I'm like a huge proponent for cruises now. I love cruises. I'm like an old lady. But with a cruise, it's also all inclusive. For anyone out there who plans for a larger group, you know that the biggest, I guess, like headache is splitting cost, especially amongst almost 40 people, and also coming up with an agenda that can satisfy everyone's different tastes and what they want to do. Obviously, they're spending money on this vacation, so they want to have it catered to them, you know. But with a cruise, you get your own sea pass that's linked to your own credit card. So anything you want to do, you pay for yourself. You get your own rooms. There's so many activities activities on board. You can literally like just stay in your room and order room service the whole time, or go to the bar and stay there the whole time, or like go down the water slide, go rock climbing, do like athletic things. It's
Yeah, there's so many activities.
so many activities for everyone. Like, huge fan of a cruise. But all of that was, the ease of planning, and also just making sure that we can accommodate for a larger group is why we decided on a cruise.
Yeah. Like Mel said, I think the age range of the group was like 8 months to like 70 plus. Helen, I'm curious, like when you guys started talking about planning for his 40th celebration, what was the thing behind, I guess, like the guests that came along? Because there were so many different types of people from different walks of Philip's
That's
life.
true. Yes. I think I realized like at the age of 40 is when a lot of people do have to accommodate for kids now. That was
Yeah,
one thing that we were definitely thinking about. We had 5 families on board, and babies ranging from like 8 to, I think the oldest was probably like 7 or 8 or so.
Yeah.
So there's like kids on board, and we also wanted to bring our child. We have a 2.5-year-old, so we definitely wanted him there. We also wanted Philip's parents to go because Philip's dad had never gone on a cruise before.
Oh, so
And
it's like a nice thing for him
yeah,
too.
and I feel like elders love cruises.
Yeah.
So so we were like, okay, you guys should definitely come with us. So we brought them on, and obviously for like childcare also, that was really helpful because we were busy hosting and
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
celebrating Philip. So we had invited our families, and then other parents were like, oh, can I bring my kids? So I'm like, yeah, it's a whole ass boat. Like,
Yeah.
bring whoever, In terms of like the invites, we were not as meticulous as like a wedding planning invite. If anything, we were kind of just like, who are we actively talking to right now? And then we would casually just slip it in like, oh, are you free on this day to like go on a
Yeah,
cruise?
yeah.
If so, like, here's our travel agent. Just contact her for information, book your own room, again, ease of planning. And that's how 37 people came together.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
really interesting, diverse group of. I think because, like we said, now we're all in kind of different stages. Like you and Phil and your baby have like formed a lot of like stronger relationships with a lot of the other families in our groups, right? So so the kids can play along and different things like that. And then also on the cruise were some people from like I know Phil from college, so there were some like college people there as well. So it was kind of this like really interesting pull of all different ages, all different walks of life of people who knew him from different places, which is really cool. So
Hi, ABG fam. So when we started daycare at 2 years old, I realized how important it is to make sure my kiddos started taking vitamins to fill in those common gaps in modern children's diets, providing the full body nourishment he and other kids need. In our household, we have Haya, a sugar-free vitamin for kids. The best thing about these Haya vitamins is that it is a pediatrician-approved chewable vitamin with 0 sugar, yet it tastes amazing. Haya fills in the gaps in our kids' diets with 12 organic fruits and veggies, plus 15 essential vitamins and minerals. It's non-GMO, vegan, allergy-free, and the best part, straight to your door for kids 2 and up. We also loved decorating the bottle with the stickers from the first order. We put his name on it, it's a cute yellow bottle, and it became a fun family activity. We have teamed up with Haya for a special deal for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hayahealth.com/abg. This deal is not available on the regular website, so go to HIYAHEALTH.com/abg and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults.
Yeah, I think one thing I would add is like with the cruise, and I love that the families are able to come because I think sometimes with a lot of our friends now having kids, a lot of them can't make it to certain events because they're like, oh no, I have to watch my child and things like that. But the cruise, what was really great is they have a kids club and like a
Yes.
daycare center there where I think it's part of the price, and then you pay a little more depending on like the certain hours. But I think a lot of the parents took advantage of the kids club there, and the kids club is great. Like as a kid that went on a cruise, I went to kids club and had a blast. Like they have activities for certain age groups, so you could literally confidently like drop off your child there, and like I think they give you updates too. I'm not quite sure, but like it was really nice to see the parents, like our friends, being able to like drop off their kids, knowing their kids are like good, and then hang out with us for a bit. Like I think that probably will like relieve a lot of stress for the parents on the trip. And like I think for me, like selfishly, I love seeing the children at dinner. I was like, oh, they're running around, or like we're seeing them eat. It's just like really cute to see this expansion of our group from like as our generation to like the kids now coming and playing with each other. I was like, this is so cute. But I also agree with Helen. A cruise is the way to go for like all ages. I think it was like a great selection.
Yeah. Surprised we hadn't done one before. in our like 10 years
Yeah.
of friendship, basically.
I remember literally, I think like day 2, I think you're rock climbing, you're like, the cruise is the best. You're so excited. You're like this realization, like, this is amazing. The other thing I want to talk through and ask you about is like the itinerary. Like, I think one thing that I've noticed with our group of friends is that once we lock in a trip or something, or a trip, there's intentional planning when it comes to the itinerary, because we don't want, like, how do you say this? Sometimes the itinerary, you want to plan certain events to make sure everyone's coming together. So how did you like think through the itinerary for this cruise?
Yeah, I knew that I didn't want to have so much of an agenda so that,
Mm.
you know, for people's first time going on a cruise, like they weren't gonna have time to explore and try all the different activities. But I wanted enough of an itinerary so that it felt like people were still here celebrating, you know, this milestone of Philip's 40th birthday. So what I did was kind of like work around the dinner time. There's always a set dinner time on cruises. It was either 5:15 or 8 p.m. and we picked up the earlier time to accommodate for all the kids, and everyone was okay with that. And then the biggest thing was really games, like, you know, coming together to play games. And the first one was a game of Assassins, which our friend Eric put together, and it was really fun. Like, so dinner night 1, he passed out these individualized envelopes, and within the envelope there was a target. So there was a photo of someone else on the cruise within our group, and there was a little like target symbol on them, and it's like, go and assassin them. So this lasted throughout the length of the trip. So it was like dinner night 1 to dinner night 3, and basically the way to assassin someone was that you just had to find a towel, which was easily accessible on a boat, any type of towel, and you kind of like spin it, and then you whip the person on their lower half,
On their butt.
on the butt. Yes, so a lot of whipping going on. That was fun because it was kind of like a subtle underlying thing that everyone was doing, you know, like
Yeah.
secretly doing. And then the other game that Mel had helped me come up with was a scavenger hunt. So we did that on the second day. We also got these like shirts together. Philip's a huge Taylor Swift fan. It was Taylor Swift's Eras Tour merch. So we had matching shirts, and then we were running around the boat just playing this scavenger hunt game, which I think could have been a little raunchier, but we had kids involved, so we didn't.
My question for that is like, why did you want these games? Like, was certain intentionality with these certain games?
Yeah, I mean, I think the games was just to get everyone together, you know, to make sure that everyone is feeling like they were part of a group and something, there to celebrate something. But it was a good unifying factor to get everyone, you know, together at different points in time.
Yeah, I will say I think the Assassins having that at the start of the first dinner, and then having that go for the 3 days, it was really nice because, like we said, there were a lot of different groups and different people on the trip, and not everyone like knew each other super intimately, right? So it's kind of cool to have like, basically you have one person that you're kind of like paired with or like introduced to, and your job is to like target them, but through that you kind of like maybe intentionally get to know someone that you wouldn't otherwise be as close with. And then the scavenger hunt also is like you're doing it in small groups, so it's like kind of like a bit of a team bonding working experience.
Yeah.
So if there are people in your
100%.
group that, and we did it kind of randomly as count off, so it's another way to kind of like get to know people better, and to have like like Helen said, like intentional time versus otherwise it was just dinner or you could do anything you want. Whereas like the rare time we have like everyone doing one thing together.
And then after dinner, we always watched shows together, did karaoke, went to the bar. This mom was at the club 3 nights in a row.
Oh my God.
So, but it was fun. And then, you know, the next morning you meet at breakfast and you talk about the night before, and then it's just like a little community, you know, of all your friends just hanging out.
I think one of my highlights for the games is seeing Phil's mom really into the assassin game.
She was
I was like,
really into
"Whoa."
it. Oh, she was whipping people and she was laughing afterwards. She was having a good time.
There are some things in life that are okay to be a total crapshoot, like trying a new type of milk in your coffee, or rolling the dice on a new workout class, or mixing it up with a new takeout spot. But finding the right doctor should not be a total crapshoot. And with ZocDoc, it's not, because you've got more options than you know. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality, in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We are talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skincare, and much more. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. If I had needed this product, it is what I would use. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/ABG to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/ABG. ZocDoc.com/ABG.
For the two of you as like participants in this event, what do you think was like the most fun part of it for you?
I will say I'm a very simple person. I just enjoyed being in the presence of people's company, which I know is like kind of a broad answer. But I think it is so rare, like we said nowadays, to get so many people together like that. And like there were a lot of people that like the Wong Fu crew that I don't really get to spend a lot of time with outside. And then also some people from like college that I see maybe like once or twice a year now. So honestly, it's just a lot of moments of just being able to go and get everyone together and to spend time. And like Helen was saying, a cruise, you feel like you're kind of removed from the rest of the world. Like you really are in your own little community and world for like a couple of days away. So I just feel like that was a unique experience. But if I had to choose like one specific activity, I know a lot of people go on cruises and not actually go off to the place where they visited, like Ensenada. But that was actually one of my favorite
I really
parts.
enjoyed it too.
Yeah, like when we docked at Ensenada, like there are a lot of people that you could just stay on the boat because there's other stuff happening on, so many other activities. But a couple of us went off and went into Ensenada. We got like fish tacos, seafood tostadas. We got to try the churros. And I think that was also a very select activity that was like a smaller group that maybe for some of the people who attended that I don't see often, like the college people, I was able to like catch up with them more properly because it's like a more like intimate small group. So yeah, that was my favorite part.
I think for me, it's also a cheesy answer, but I just like when we're all together. Like even like the day, like we're recapping at like the buffet, like we're like, oh my God, last night, I just like we don't get to do. It feels like college when you're like, oh, everyone meet at the dining hall. We're gonna talk about what happened the day before. So I think when we're coming back, recapping the night, I don't know if this plays to the dynamic of the group, but I love the fact that our group of friends are very down and a little competitive because I think it makes because we're just kind of like but we're like game for anything. We're not. No one feels like above that, or no one feels like we don't want to do that. But I think the first night, I think set the tone for me because like first night we did like a Family Feud competition and we did like was it called like Crazy H? I don't know what it was called, but it was like
she was our representative for that game.
Yeah, the game was wild. It was like
for sure.
Yeah, it was like a 18 plus themed game, but like pretty much like I don't know how to describe it, but like all our friends were there. We were like playing this game where we were playing with like all the people on the cruise, and so like you got to know them really well. But then they divided the group into like different sections, like 1 through 6, and I was like team captain for 6 with this other cruise guy. I don't know his name, but it was just like the question. The captain would be like, it was like throw your bra to the center of the stage or something, and so whoever's the first team to bring the bras over like win points. And I think for us, like at that point, we're like, we just want to win, and so I think our team just went in on it, and then our team 6 won, and I felt like an Olympic champion. I'm not gonna lie. I have my medal, and I was like, should I wear this on the airplane or the airport? Royal Caribbean medal. But for me, that just set the tone for the trip. And then the days after, it was just so much fun to like just karaoke, like dance on the dance floor, like kind of just like have no worry in that moment and just be with your friends. And I think it was really nice. I don't know. It just felt like a very like, I don't want to say innocent time, but like a very protective, memorable time with our friends.
Yeah. I think my probably favorite reflection on the trip was really, because I was in hosting mode, and then Philip was also just making sure that people were okay, especially during dinner time. We'd be going from like table to table. Normally I have eyes on my son at like all times to make sure he's not tripping, he's not falling, he's not hurting himself, he's not about to bust his head open. And I felt like I could just trust the group to watch him. And I think that was a big distinction of when people say like, oh, you need a village for raising kids. I'm like, oh, wow, this is my village. Our friends who were once just, work friends or party friends are now the village that you rely on. So there was something really beautiful about that, just letting my son run around. And then whenever I looked for him, he'd be like squished in next to another kid, be like a seat this wide, and he'd squish his little butt in to sit next to, especially like our friend Kathy or her daughter Isla. He'd be like sitting next to her, and he'd be wearing this white linen shirt, right? Cruise vibes. And our friends would be just feeding him spaghetti. I'm like, oh, there for sure is going to be spaghetti stains on his shirt after. And there wasn't. So I was just like, oh, wow, they like are really, meticulous and caring about how they're feeding him and watching over him. So it was just a really good feeling to have. Like that was a really big takeaway for me from this trip. Just seeing certain friends turn more into like family than just friends. Yeah.
I am always looking for nutritious options to add to my routine, and I have found one that tastes amazing and is not super expensive. Our next sponsor, Orgain, makes it very easy to increase the nutrition in our lives without breaking the bank. I've been trying to increase the protein in my diet, and they are the leader in real protein-powered nutrition that understands that being good for you doesn't have to taste bad. The founder believes that real nutrition has the power to make a difference in people's lives, which I 100% agree with. He left his medical practice and founded Orgain to create foods and beverages that offer better nutrition for people everywhere. I love that. Their brand new 30-gram complete protein shakes are like little nutrition bombs that are a source of complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids, which give you energy and provides muscle support and recovery. Great to have in the morning so you start your day off already hitting some major protein goals. Or sometimes I'll have mine at night because I read somewhere that protein in the evenings can lead to better sleep, and I am all about that. Orgain 30-gram protein shakes are available at Costco and Orgain.com. If you want to get in on the delicious protein-packed nutrition today, head to Orgain.com/AsianBossGirl and use code AsianBossGirl for 20% off your order. Once again, that's ORGAIN.com/AsianBossGirl for 20% off, and make sure you use our promo code AsianBossGirl so they know that we sent you.
Another type of event that is happening, that is a change from the dynamic in our 20s is that not only are we, celebrating us and then accommodating for the little ones in our lives, we're also throwing celebrations specifically for them, like baby showers and birthdays. I mean, for the two of you, you are part of not just my village, but like other people's villages as well. Janet with your sister expecting, and then Mel with your niece through Ray. How do you feel like your friendship dynamic has changed with those people who are choosing to expand their like family circles? How has that changed for the two of you?
I am so excited that my sister is expecting. I have a lot of nieces and nephews and kids from my cousins and stuff, but it's very different when it is your like literal, I guess like nuclear family is the technical thing. And it's also then the first grandchild for my mom and my dad. And I think knowing and seeing them go through the like excitement process, they're like nervous right now and they do the like kind of Asian parent overbearing complaining thing or nitpicky thing. But I know that once the baby comes, it's going to be like, they're going to be so happy. And so I think because she hasn't like, the baby's actually, the due date, funnily enough, is my birthday.
Whoa, wait, really?
I think they changed it now to like the day after, but it's very close to my birthday. And so he's not here yet. And just in the like 9 months of them prepping to, have their lives change and have this additional, person come into their life, I don't like, our relationship hasn't changed that much yet. And I think I'm just mentally and emotionally preparing for when that happens. I think obviously there's going to be the like emotional bond is just different. I think it's closer when you have a new person that's like the next generation in your family. But also it's like I'm prepared because I've seen a lot of my friends now have kids to know that the first like 2 years is going to be a lot of like, we're not going to have the same connection that we had, right? Just purely she's not going to have the capacity and the time to like randomly phone calls or like when I go visit my parents, she'd be like, oh, I'll come by too. Now it's like, well, she's going to be preoccupied like keeping, a baby alive. And so that is something I'm mentally preparing for. And that's something that I have also I've just seen through cousins and girlfriends go through the process. Like usually it's like the first 2 to 3 years, it's a big life transition. And so you just learn to kind of like, at least for me, how I found is like I make the extra effort to just go to them and like even just like hang out at their house. Like, before you used to go out to like happy hour or even like grabbing coffee, you're like, I'll bring coffee to you or I'll come to your house with food or, or just like even just sit there for like, if you only have like 15, 20 minutes. But that that is something that like, yeah, that shifts. But I will also say, as someone who have seen my girlfriends now, their kids are like as old as like 7. Once the kid is like 3 to 4, their schedules open up a little bit more because the kid starts going to school, and then there's a little bit more flexibility in like being able to like hang out outside of the house, you know, or outside of the schedule of the kid. So yeah, it's more effort, but it's also it's just different ways of changing and maintaining those relationships.
You might actually be seeing her more often, I would say.
Some of my friends have said that, and I think I'm not sure. Like, I'm trying to figure out what her preference is, because I think like in some ways you could say like, oh, she'll need a lot of help, right?
Yeah.
Because between her and her husband, they may prefer to just kind of like nest by themselves for a little bit and then let family come in a little bit more. So yeah, I guess it could go either way.
Yeah, you should maybe ask her that beforehand, like how much she would like
I
your
have
involvement.
been.
Okay,
Her answer's been kind of sometimes, so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe
she
I'll
doesn't
just
know yet.
But that's a good tip. I think I'll just like continuously check in a little bit here and there.
Yeah, yeah. Because I feel like after my sister had her kid, like, and that was the first child in our family,
Yeah.
I saw her much more often because I wanted to see the baby and I wanted to help
Oh,
out.
yeah,
And
yeah.
parents are always going to need help no matter what. It's like
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
it's with like cleaning or just like anything, there's
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
So I'm curious how that's going to develop for you.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
you'll be even closer. Yeah, after this.
I think for me, like hearing you guys talk to, I feel like if I were to compare like how the dynamic now is, like friends before kids to friends after, like I kind of agree with Helen. Like I feel like I'm actually spending more intentional time with my friends or even raised sisters because of the baby or the child, because I just want to be around the kids. Like I don't know, like something, I don't know what happened to me, but like I think once the kids start entering the world, your heart just grows fonder, and I'm just like, oh, like something, I don't know, maybe that's me being like, I think I want children too.
Baby fever.
Definitely. I feel like I just want any excuse to spend time with the kids. Like if I'm free, like even for raised sisters, like I'm more than happy to watch Lucy. Like I love to go over and just make sure that like I want to spend time with her. And it's also like I also know like it's hard for the parents to not get that in like a date night in or something like that because they're always taking care of the baby. So I'm just like, if we're in town, like we're staying there with you guys, please feel free to go grab dinner with just you two, and we'll put Lucy to bed. Like we love to, because we also just love her so much. And this is just like maybe as one of the aunties, you're just like, oh, am I one of your favorites? Like you're just like, so for
That
me,
is an
it
auntie
warms
one,
my
yeah.
heart. Yeah, so it warms my heart knowing that one, like by spending more time with this child that you love so much, that they also are loving you in return. And you just want to like cultivate this dynamic with them. And I think the difference is like also with Helen too, like with your baby, I'm like, can I FaceTime him? Can I do this? It's just I want to spend time with him. And so just like one, he could, remember who I am still. And also just like I like to see what he's up to. But I think the difference for me is that like I think before, like with a lot of our friends, when they didn't have kids, there's a lot of like, let's go out, let's do this. And it's a lot of fun. But I think now with children involved, it's more like, let's go over to their house, let's bring dinner, let's sit down and have a conversation and catch up. And I think that's actually more intentional. And actually, it actually provides for for a deeper connection with these friends. And I feel like with that, for me personally, I think I'm building a stronger connection with these people because I'm like hearing about like how's parenting going, like what's the kids like, what's going on with your children, and I feel like I learn a lot more that way versus like we're drinking, you're like yeah, it's crazy, and then what happens the next day we don't know, we're hungover. So I think having like I think for me, children actually opened up this like new layer and level of friendship for me with some of these people. I'm excited for more time and more children in the group.
Yeah.
To all my wonderful parents and caregivers out there, let's talk about those unforgettable moments with your little ones. The first steps, the giggles, the boundless energy. But let's be real, with a growing and wild child, those moments can also mean unexpected messes, which is why I'm excited to share something that's been a lifesaver for us, Pampers Cruisers 360. Pampers Cruisers 360 is the must-have baby-proof diaper. These slide on like a pair of pants, unlike ordinary diapers with tabs or tapes that your escape artist can rip off. And trust me, thanks to its 360-degree stretchy waistband, it can help save you from some serious messes and keep your baby comfy. With up to 100% leak-proof protection, you can let your little one explore and play. And when it's time for a change, it's as easy as ripping the sides, rolling it up with a disposable tape on the back, and you're done. Simple as that. Try Pampers Cruisers 360 with the new Pampers Free and Gentle wipes for healthy baby skin. They're made from 100% plant-based cloth that grips the mess. With Free and Gentle, mess meets its match. Let your little one live wild and mess-free because every adventure should end in smiles, not cleanups. For trusted protection, trust Pampers, the #1 pediatrician recommended brand.
I mean, how do you feel about all of the different celebrations like for kids? Because I know you're very precious on your time and energy and how much you can give your energy. How has that changed with the involvement of kids now?
I think it depends. Like it's just I'm like, this is a new type of celebration. Like I know everyone kind of like celebrates or like their child differently. I think I still enjoy it because for me, birthday parties for children, it's an excuse for me to see more children and spend more time with them all at once. So I think that's like the great thing. I think sometimes, to be quite honest, I think with big birthday celebrations for kids, I can feel a little bit overwhelmed because it's been a lot. I haven't been around a party where there's like 50 kids running around and screaming. And I'm just like, whoa, this is like a new thing. So sometimes I do feel kind of like I'm just quietly sitting there being like just absorbing everything. And I will say at birthday parties, when it's like all your friends are there and then like other kids are there, it's hard for me to like give my like 100% attention to my friends while catching up at these birthday parties. So for me, I'm just like, we're not doing a one-on-one here. It's not going to happen at a birthday party. So let's just call it what it is. We're going to have fun with the kids. And yeah, that's not the time and place for the friends catch up, in my opinion.
I will say, I think that's like definitely for someone who's like used to being in a single world and kind of like smaller group gatherings. If you go to like birthday parties where there's like kids and stuff going on, it can be like sensory overload a little bit, right?
Yes.
And I definitely like when friends started having babies and we would hang out, I got used to the conversations. Just it's always going to be the mom is always going to be multitasking and you're always going to be the kid as well as the conversation. And so, yeah, you just kind of learn to like you're going to be talking about maybe or you're looking at 3 to 5 different things happening all at once.
Yes, that is my life. Yeah. That sounds like my life. I always tell Philip after an event, I was like, I don't think I talked to anyone. It's like, did you talk to anyone? He's like, yeah. But it's because I'm always on. I'm like always on when my kid is around. Even that's why during the cruise, I was just like, oh, that feels so nice when you can actually relieve some of that just like pressure to always, to be able to have a conversation with someone is huge. But Janet, you just threw your sister her baby shower.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was good. This event, the baby shower was a big deal because her and her husband had a fairly like small wedding. They did like a courthouse and it was just the parents, an immediate family, or just the parents actually, no immediate family. So I got photos, but I wasn't able to be there. And so the baby shower was basically the first time they had a huge gathering and celebration where both sides of the family came together and family from out of town flew in and we had like friends, some of my sister's friends from like her like elementary school girls like came in. And so it was really important because it was like the big kind of celebration of everything. It was a little bit of like celebrating their union and they're expanding their family at the same time. But you know me, I've shared on the podcast, when it comes to event planning, it's not my favorite thing and it easily stresses me out. But I was able to do this because, and I feel like a lot of it is just like pressure I put on myself. So like when they announced that they were pregnant, I was like, oh, there needs to be like a baby shower. We need to like have some way to celebrate. And I kind of like took it on. But the reality was like, there were so like my parents were there to support. His parents wanted to help support. My sister herself was very like, hey, like, I know you're busy. We can like do stuff together. And my mom actually came up with the idea. She's like, you know what? Make it easy. Do it at a restaurant because then you already have a destination or like you have a space and there's a set menu, there's catering, all of that. And I was like, oh, that's like a really good idea. So, and then we ended up just finding a space based off of my sister's, like it was a place that was kind of local that she knew about. And she's like, oh, I've been to some events there. So the process actually ended up being really smooth. And for anyone out there who is like hosting a shower of any sort, I guess some tips that I could offer is thinking of doing it at like a restaurant space is an easy way to not have to think about food so much because it's all like kind of set. And then the second thing is when it came to the games, I delegated that to her friends. And it ended up going really well because within her friend group, she has one friend who's like a teacher. And this girl had already done a bunch of showers. So she had like templated games. She had activities for the kids to do. So yeah, I don't know. It ended up just going really well. And I was thinking about, I'm like, how many showers have I actually hosted at this point?
Most of mine.
Yeah, between bridal and baby showers. I thought it went well. It was like really special. It was really nice to see. I think when we talk about gatherings that happen where it's like life milestones and you see all of different walks of life, like people that were important to the couple. And it was nice to see. In one table was like my parents and my aunts and my uncles and then his family, and then there were like a lot of like little ones from my nieces and nephews, and then seeing her friends, some of them whom I have not seen since like she was in high school.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know, it's like a really really special, very nice event.
Does seeing your younger sister, like seeing her pregnant, does that make you feel a certain
It's
like
so
way?
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, weird is like a hard, I guess, like word to say. I think I would kind of describe it in two levels. One, logically, I'm like, I've been waiting for this. Her and I have been talking about like kids since for like 5-6 years, right? And she is someone who like I know has always wanted kids. I feel like, at least when I recall the last like 10 to 15 years, she like worked with kids for a period, and she's always so good with kids, and a lot of her friends started having kids like 10 years ago. So logically, I'm like, yeah, this is like not surprising at all. But emotionally, I think when it's your baby sister having a baby, it is such a trip, like mentally. And then just some of our conversations, like as like, I would like throughout her pregnancy, being able to kind of like talk to her and see the baby like developing inside. I don't know. I don't have like proper words to explain it, but it definitely is like a really, really special, unique feeling when it's like your younger sister who's gonna have a baby. Your baby sister's having a baby.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild. I feel like a lot of times the baby also looks like the aunt or or like the uncle. It's
Yeah,
strange.
yeah.
My aunt always says like, "You look like me." I'm like, "Really? Okay."
Aw. Yeah, I mean, and his like due date is like close to my birthday, so we're like we're
Yeah.
gonna be another
Oh,
like
wow.
another Virgo in the family.
Wait, random question for Helen. Did you and your sister have this conversation? Because you're also the baby sister.
Yeah.
Y- mm,
But you guys had already, because your sister had kids, right? So maybe it's a little
I
different.
see.
I think
the
it was a little
dynamic.
bit different because she was already like, "All right, Helen, like hurry up," just so that
Catch
they're
up, yeah.
closer in age. Like she's like, "Yeah, hurry up with
Oh,
your
yeah.
next one so that they can actually hang out." I'm like, "Okay, can't really rush this
Yeah.
stuff, Annie."
Yeah.
But when she was pregnant, it was I don't know, it was kind of just like. I think also she's had like a lot of pressure on her to be like the oldest of the entire family, all the cousins, and so it's like, all right, you started off, and then we're gonna follow, So, but yeah, it is a trip to see your sister have a child and become a mom, because it's like, are you responsible enough to be
Yeah,
a
yeah.
mom? And then you'll see her in a different light. I
Yeah,
think when
yeah.
she is a mom.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm
Oh,
excited.
I'm excited too.
Wait, Janet, I know we talked about how excited we are for Patty to have the baby, because I know how much you love your nieces and nephews, but I want to ask you like maybe a more serious question, and feel comfortable to not answer if you don't want to, but I'm just curious because I'm also the oldest. Do you feel like pressure or a certain way, like, because I guess like maybe the traditional mindset is like maybe the firstborn should be the one to have a child first. Like, do you feel a certain way by having your sister have a baby first before you?
I actually don't. And I think my parents also, there wasn't ever an expectation placed on that. Maybe that's a little bit of just culturally where I don't know if you want to call it more like American. Maybe it's more like, I don't know if it's traditional Asian or American or whatever, or more conservative thinking. But my parents have always been like, if you don't want kids, that's okay. And so I actually kind of, when my sister got pregnant, I was, thank God you took the pressure off of me. Because like I've spoken before, like I want kids, but if that doesn't happen, like I would be okay with that. And there is a little bit of like, you think about your parents wanting to be grandparents, right? And so like the fact that my sister kind of was like, okay, you took the pressure off, you got there first, I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, I don't think it's, and she's been with her now husband, but they dated for like 8 years. So I guess if you want to think about like the steps of when someone should be in a partnership first and like build a family first, like there wasn't ever, I didn't feel a sense of like responsibility or competition. And I think also because we're so close in age, we're only like 2.5 years apart. Like, I don't know if that answers the question.
Oh, it does. I was just curious. I think because sometimes I ask myself this question because like my brother, like he's a younger one, but he's been with his girlfriend for almost 10 years. That even in our family, like my cousin jokes around like, oh, Brandon might get married or have a baby first. And part of me is like, yeah, I don't really care. Like, you do you.
I don't really, the thing with like marriage and kids that I think can be challenging at this stage is feeling a sense of you're just taking a different path. But I never feel like I'm behind, if that, I don't know if that's like, I mean, logically it feels like it would be behind, but I don't like, it's not a competition. And you should, I think when it comes to building a family and getting married, those are not things you want to rush into because you want to check a box. Those are forever things. You know, you can't go back from that. But yeah, I think that is a good question to ask because I think oftentimes if you're in your young adulthood, we're used to a very achievement mindset and like thinking about milestones as a way to mark like that you've accomplished something. And I think I've switched my way of thinking about kids and building a family as not an accomplishment in that way a while ago, but it's hard. I think because building up to those stages, it can feel like they are a definition of your success or your value or something. I guess like, were there any expectations that you had going into summertime for this year?
I feel like the summer passed by so fast.
I agree.
I feel like it just turned 2024 and now
Yeah.
we're in fall. Like
Same.
what the heck? Right? I think this was the first summer that I felt the pressure of finding things for my son to do, which was never something that I ever like thought about. It was always, you know, when you're a kid, like your parents tell you, okay, we're going to go on this cruise or we're going to go on, you know, to visit grandma or something. And you just kind of had to follow along. And now I'm the one setting that agenda. So that's been a big change this summer. And especially now that he's getting older, I'm starting to feel a little bit of that pressure of like, oh, what classes do I need to put him in? What should I do to enhance, you know, his development and the things that he's already finding interest in? I'm starting to feel that. I'm starting to feel like, you know, and for me too, I am an outdoorsy person. So like every weekend we are doing something also because I want to get out of the house and I want to do something. But it's also like, oh, what are things that can, you know, enrich him? And it is a lot more planning. So shout out to all the parents out there who are planning summers and survived this summer with their kiddos. I know I saw like an Instagram post of like someone saying, congrats to all the parents who survived summer. I'm like, yes, actually, thank you. So I'm saying that to all of you out there too, if it applies. But yeah, it's a change of life. It's a change of life. Friendships are changing. Dynamics are changing. Fall is always the season of change. So it's kind of crazy. I feel like we're at the precipice of something like bigger changes to come too, you know, as we're having this conversation. We're sort of just scratching the surface of like, oh yeah, now we're accommodating for kids. Oh yeah, now we're throwing, you know, more baby showers and stuff. So it's kind of wild. We're like capturing this moment in time for all of us.
How about you, Mel? This is your first summer in New York City.
Yeah, I don't even, to be honest,
Are you
summer for me
melted?
feels,
Did you melt?
dude, I think going into summer, I was like, okay, I'm prepared to feel like it's going to be brutal because I don't do well in heat. I'm really like, I'm like that Snickers commercial when the person's like a bitch and then you eat a Snickers bar, like, oh, I'm back to normal. That's me in heat, period. Like I can't.
You've always talked about that. You've always said you hated summers in Asia. Like it's just not doable.
Yeah. But I think New York summer, it is hot. Like it's definitely like brutal and like it is, but it's kind of like it is what it is. I think luckily for me, I spent like almost 3 weeks in LA, which was really nice because it like I avoided the humidity in New York. But I even think that the 3 weeks I was in LA, it felt jam packed where it was hard for me to even catch a breath to breathe. Because like when I was back in LA, it was like recordings, events, celebration, and I'm like, it's fun, but I'm like, I was tired. Like I think at the end I was like, oh, I think I'm ready. Like right now I'm back in New York and I'm literally flying out in 2 weeks again. So I'm just like, okay, I just wanted to be quiet. So I think right now my remaining plans for summer is just like, can I hibernate for a little bit before it gets crazy again? And to be honest, I think like Helen said, like it's been this whole year in general has been like a year of changes and I feel like I'm still like coping with it. And it's just like weird because I feel like, I don't know how to describe it. Like whenever I go back to California, it feels like so happy. Like for me, it's like a happy time. Like I was telling Ray, like when we're back this last time, I was like, everything was great. Like I felt like roses and butterflies and like seeing everyone again. It was like, oh, like it's so easy. Like I was like, it's so easy. We came back to New York immediately. It was hard. I was like, what the F? Like, could you forget how isolating it is to be back in a new place? And you're like, also like, you know, transitioning to living with someone like that, just a lot of dynamic and relationship building that I was like, wow, in some ways, like I was like blinded once I landed in LAX. I was like, la, 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 la. And then I was like, New York, I was like, oh crap. Like it was a huge shift for me.
Does it feel like New York is now home and LA is vacation then? Or do you still
Yeah.
consider LA home and you're vacationing in New York for the temporary time that you're there? Because it's going to be temporary because you're coming back.
Yeah. It's hard because like I think I miss my stuff. So wherever my stuff is becomes my home.
Got
It's like
it.
New York is all like my clothing, like my like bed and like all my whatever. I think now whenever I go back to LA, the fact that I don't have a car, I feel very like I'm kind of limited. So I don't feel like it's my home as much. But the thing with LA, it feels extremely familiar though.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know it so well that I'm like in some ways, like that feels like home. Like, it's like whenever you go back to Boston or like go back to like Mission Viejo, like that, when I'm back in the Bay, it's like that feeling like I know where everything is. So it's like so that's the LA feeling.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to add in terms of just like maybe a realization about like summer and like events and just like friendship in general is that like I won't share too much because I don't think our friends have shared it, but one of our really good friends in our group recently got engaged. I think that moment for me, because you guys were present for the celebration in person and the fact that you guys were calling me and like FaceTiming me when it happened, I had a small feeling of like, damn, I wish I was there. Like, I wish I was there in person with everyone celebrating. And that makes me a little sad because like being away from friends. But the biggest feeling I felt was like, I looked at Ray and I was like, I feel so flattered that they wanted to include me in on this celebration, call me to be part of this, even though I'm so far away. I was like, this is my family. I was like, oh, we're part of this community. This is our village kind of thing. That was like the overall feeling I felt as we hung up. And I think for me, like, I think this whole episode, like even just talking through like the celebrations and like deepening relationships, like the biggest takeaway I get with our friend group is like, this is it for me. Like, this is what I want. Like, this is, and I said this in the previous episode, I'm going to marry y'all. Like, that's the feeling I get.
What kind of ring
Was
am I
that a
getting?
proposal?
Yeah. Was that a proposal or a directive? Like, you're marrying me.
I'm marrying everyone in this friend group. But it just, like, I'm committed to y'all. That's like what I'm saying.
Did you just
And I
ask
like
me
it.
out?
I asked everyone out.
I know how you feel. I agree, and I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's like the forever friend. Like, I think a lot of my 20s, it's been, friendships that you're just trying to find which ones stick, and a lot of them didn't stick. You come across people who are catty or petty or not always going to have your best interest in mind. Like, that's that icky feeling of like, oh, is this my friend or not? Like, I don't feel that, where we are now. So Helen in her 20s, if anyone out there, you're still looking for that friend group, you still have time. Like, I thought 20s was old. I thought I was done. I thought I was stuck with certain friends, and you can get rid of them. Not to say that they're like people are disposable if they're not meant for you.
yeah.
They're meant for someone else. Okay,
They're not
so.
adding good value into your life or don't maintain.
Yes.
Yeah, you can cut them out.
What she said.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
it feels good to find a place where it's like friends that are becoming family and forever friends.
Yes.
Yeah, that we're marrying.
I do.
Yeah, me too.
Here, I'll give you one of these rings.
Me can't try to catch it. I can't.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us in this episode. It was great to catch up and reflect on this past summer, which has been quite a summer. It's been a season of so much change for all of us. And we hope you enjoyed it. We'd love to hear about maybe some of your favorite summer activities that you did with your friends over these past couple of months. Leave them in the comments. Maybe have some ideas for upcoming activities. And with that, we'll catch you all in the next episode. Bye. And before we wrap today's episode, we want to send a quick shout out to our ABG bestie, Teresa Wang. Teresa, thank you so much for supporting us. Woo!
Wang, wang, wang.
Wang, wang, wang.
Wow. Chang.
We hope you're having a great summertime, Teresa, and wishing you all the best as for the rest of the year. And hopefully we'll catch you in one of our hangouts for our Dear ABGs that we host on a monthly basis. And if you are not an ABG bestie yet and want to join in, please sign up. There are going to be details in the show notes.
Peace.